Ladies and gentlemen, I find it very interesting that I just find this fascinating. And if you look at this story, there's more, there has to be more to it. So this is a Newsweek article. Trump forgives ex-assistant Madeleine Westerhout, still fires her after press leak. Okay. He writes, while Madeleine Westerhout had a fully enforceable confidentiality agreement, she's a very good person. I don't think there would ever be reason to use it. She called me yesterday to apologize and had a bad night. I fully understand and forgave her. I love Tiffany, doing great. Now, this is really interesting. When was the last time that you were thinking of Tiffany Trump? I mean, if you weren't thinking of Trump's daughters, you wouldn't be thinking of Ivanka. Ivanka's more in the news because she's part of President Trump's administration with Kushner, Jared Kushner. But why would, I mean, it could be, for example, it could be that Tiffany Trump has a business venture or there's some benefit to this leak taking place. I find it very difficult, like I said in my segment prior to this one, I find it very difficult to believe that there isn't some kind of long-term strategy or short-term strategy. Almost certainly, Miss Westerhout wanted to leave, wanted to resign for you know, she had something that she wanted to pursue, some either business venture, some kind of venture that's taking place in a couple of months or a year or whatever. She wants to go on vacation, who knows? She probably told President Trump, look, I am planning on going, and then they talked about how best to end the business relationship. So, in doing so, they also forced establishment journalists, well, they forced publications to defend establishment journalists after a breach of conduct. It is unethical. It is a breach of conduct. It's a breach of protocol, internal protocol for the Washington Post and other publications to publish off-the-record comments. Now, journalists have, like most journalists today, have zero ethics. Zero ethics. They're basically advocates for the Democratic Party. They're all... When was the last time you saw a journalist in a major publication wearing a MAGA hat? It doesn't happen. So there's probably some kind of strategy. He already forced media to come to terms with the fact that there is no such thing as off the record. So now people are, if you're into the DC establishment or the media scene, you're saying to yourself, anyone who would be susceptible to, you know, giving journalists information, or anyone who would be susceptible to perhaps providing information, their identities, it wouldn't be anonymous because it's known now that they're just going to publish off the record. It was known prior to this, but now it's just confirmation for everybody that they're publishing off the record information. But let's just read this article. President Donald Trump on Saturday mentioned his ongoing legal a tweet where he said he forgave his now former personal assistant, Madeleine Westerhout, for divulging information about his family to the press. So, while Madeleine Westerhout has fully enforceable confidentiality agreement, she is a very good person. I don't think there was ever reason to use it. She called me yesterday to apologize, had a bad night. I fully understand and forgave her. I love Tiffany, doing great. Now, everything he does... This is not like this. If he's burned by somebody, or if somebody tries to, if somebody tries to hurt Trump, he's not a Bernie Sanders, like a human doormat who's just going to, you know, allow it to take place and say, oh my goodness, you know. He's going to fight back and definitely fight back hard. That's not the way Trump works. Trump doesn't operate that way. He's not just, he doesn't just allow somebody to leak information about his daughter. You know, something like things like, oh, well, he didn't want to take a picture with her because, you know, allegedly she was, Trump said she was too overweight, which is not true. She looks beautiful. She looks wonderful. Both of them, Tiffany and Ivanka, look beautiful. So, and it doesn't matter, like, whatever, whether she has gained a little weight. That doesn't matter. She's still beautiful. So Trump wouldn't, even though he's like the reincarnation of every horrible thing to Democrats, they've created and fabricated and had to conjure up this image of Trump that doesn't exist, and then they play off that image. He's not going to disparage his, I don't think he would disparage his daughter to another woman. And see, assuming he did, Westerhout knew that when she was speaking to reporters, she knew that nothing was off the record. She didn't become President Trump's personal assistant because she wasn't media savvy. So then you give me your thoughts below. I mean, what is the short-term and the long-term strategy here? He definitely benefits because now you have TDS, people with major TDS, going after his family, which is a really bad look for Democrats who claim to be so morally superior. I mean, they're the most vile, sinister, disingenuous cheaters on the planet. They're already cheating right now. And if you think for 1 second that Joe Biden's going to be the nominee, or that Elizabeth Warren, who failed her DNA test, in this day and age, you claim to be something you're not in this day and age, it ain't going to fly. Now with Clinton, like, certain people can get away with anything and can, have 20 different accents and, pretend to just pander. And Clinton is a different story. She's running again. Now, whether it's next month, whether it's September, October, November, December, or even January, people are going to say, oh, she's not running yet. She's going to run. And they're going to do it. It's going to be 2016 all over again because there is nobody there. It's just a process of elimination. Do you think Biden's going to be a nominee? Of course not. Don't be silly. Okay? Elizabeth Warren has too many skeletons. Biden is a skeleton. So this could be a situation where he's kind of preventing further leaks, or he's, at least what he did was he now confirmed that there is nothing off the record. So Trump's 2016 campaign transition team and political appointees have all been expected to sign non-disclosure agreements, or NDAs. According to Politico, Trump Organization employees are routinely required to sign such agreements. I believe you signed the same types of agreements in the Obama White House, in President Obama's White House, and also in President Bush's White House. So, or every White House. Traditionally, federal workers. Okay, so, Madeleine Westerhout was forced to resign as an executive assistant to the president on Thursday after Trump learned she had shared information with reporters at a recent off-the-record meeting. After a couple of drinks. Don't you love this? Like, who... They think that, like, media, like, it started with Papadopoulos, drinks at a bar. It's like, he was set up and framed. Where does media get this notion that you had a couple of drinks and suddenly it's like this Wonder Woman's, like, truth lasso? It's so dumb. It's so absurd. After a couple of drinks, the 28-year-old allegedly boasted that she had a closer relationship with Trump than the president had with his daughters, Ivanka and Tiffany, sources told Politico. Well, those sources were divulging information that was off the record. So now everyone, and this is important because this confirms that if you leak information about the Trump White House, you're going to get, your identity is going to be disclosed. And this is even, they say, well, it might have been, she might have been the person who disclosed the, fictional comments that he said, that he allegedly stated about hurricanes, which there's no evidence of anything. Of course, comments attributed to Trump are just as important as the DNC emails that were written by, and campaign emails that were written, that talked about 500 conflicts of interest, that talked about Pied Piper candidates. They actually pushed Trump. They pushed Trump's campaign. They pushed to help the narrative that Trump was electable. They actually, in many ways, backed and supported President Trump as a Pied Piper candidate. That's what one of the DNC emails state. So it's hilarious because they're like, the Russians wanted Trump. Well, they wanted Trump too because they thought he was unrealistic. And then he went out. He eventually won. But see, that's the thing. The DNC emails, the campaign emails that talk about 500 conflicts of interest in the Clinton Foundation, that is completely disregarded. And an off-the-record conversation, that is, oh my God, or comments attributed to Trump, oh my God, that's so important. But the New York Times reported she also talked about the president's eating habits, his thoughts on Tiffany's appearance, and his youngest son, Barron. So, it could have also almost served to inoculate this virus called TDS, or inoculate either the White House or protect the White House from future leaks regarding his family. So he might have just said, look, you know what? There are probably going to be people who are going to try to spread rumors about my family. Let's nip this in the bud right now. You know, so there's a lot of things that could have taken place. I just find it, I don't buy the narrative that she had a couple of drinks. A couple of drinks with people that you know are like these serpents and snakes and reptiles and just vipers and scorpions that exist only to ensure Clinton 2020 becomes a reality. And it's already, Clinton 2020 is already there. So it's happening, folks. I stated from the very beginning, the Democratic process, the debates are a theatrical performance. Joe Biden does not want to be president, and furthermore, Joe Biden possibly could, just for his mental and emotional health, should probably be told just not to campaign anymore. This is getting a little bit ridiculous, and it's getting sad. I mean, this is like an issue. It's not funny anymore. It's an issue. He's probably experiencing some things that, you know, he should not be on the campaign trail. Okay, Elizabeth Warren has 0 support. She has 1% support, something like 1%. Let's see, what is Warren's support among African American voters? That's very important because African American voters are extremely important in the Democratic primaries. African American. Okay, pull Elizabeth Warren. Okay, so something like, okay, so Warren faces uphill climb with black voters. Only 4% were 4%, I heard 1%. 4% of African American voters are backing Warren. Okay, well, she's not going to win the Democratic. Even if, let's say, Clinton wasn't going to run, which she is going to run, you're not going to even come close in the Democratic primary. So Biden dominates the vote, but Biden dominates the vote only because he's seen as electable, not because of his past, which he helped, you know, write the crime bill, the mass incarceration, all of these things. So I just think that what President Trump is doing right now, he's thinking 3 or 4 steps ahead. He knows. Do you think Trump doesn't know that Clinton's going to run? I mean, honestly, do you really think that Trump believes that Democrats are going to go with Biden? I mean, but ask yourself this question. Ask yourself this question. I'm serious now. You think that Trump says Democrats, a machine that's run on graft and a machine that's run on media support, graft, corrupt intelligence officials, Clinton Foundation donors, and she has a new foundation, the Onward Together. Now, I'm not talking about the PAC. She has an actual new foundation. Look it up. It's the Onward Together Foundation. So what does this have to do with Madeleine Westerhout? A lot. I just think that he's probably gearing up for 2020 in that they're going to try to go after his family. And that's one thing I love about Trump, because he protects his family. This is probably a preemptive strike where he's letting everyone in DC know that if you speak off the record to the Washington Post or Bloomberg or Reuters or anyone, if you speak off the record, your identity will be exposed. You might as well be you might as well be viewed as a source if you're an off the record quote. You might as well be viewed as a source. So, that is something that hurts the media's ability to harm Trump. Because the media likes gossip, and people are less inclined to gossip if they know that it'll get back to Trump. Give me your thoughts below. Tell me what you think. And this is all, look, for 2020, Clinton is going to get nasty. It could get frightening. She will lose, but it'll be Clinton versus Trump again. And this theatrical performance with Biden and Warren, they have no chance to become Democratic now. Bernie Sanders, he was cheated. And then they said the Russians informed the country that Bernie was cheated to give Clinton the popular vote. So, give me your thoughts below. Ladies and gentlemen, this is very interesting. Give me your thoughts below. What do you think? I'm so fascinated with this. Give me your thoughts. Thank you. Oh, check out H.A. Goodman's other channel right this second. Thanks.